This piece is called Toward Freedom, and it was inspired by what happened in Canada in February, so the Freedom Convoy. And the beautiful thing there was that it was in a time that everywhere in the world, the governments were trying to put the unvaccinated people into a very bad light. So Macron in France, he said, I would like to MRD, to shit on the unvaccinated people. Trudeau in Canada, he called them misogynists and racists. Very strange for if you don't want to vaccinate that you are a racist. And here in Holland, also, I have zero understanding for people who don't want to be vaccinated, said our Minister of Health. And then came this Freedom Convoy, and suddenly there was this fraternization between the non-vaccinated and the vaccinated. They were helping each other. And so this piece as a whole is about the reactions to and fro. Something happens, the government reacts with regulations. These regulations become ever more absurd, and then the population reacts to these regulations. And I find it a fantastic story. For instance, at some point there is a regulation that when you aid the truckers with what is called material aid, so you bring either food or drink so they don't starve, then you can get a fine. So it's forbidden to do that. And then you are also not allowed to bring fuel to the truckers, but they need fuel to keep warm because it was very cold. It was minus 20 degrees or something like that. So also that it was forbidden to do that. And then eventually the population reacts with carrying empty jerry cans on the streets, because there had been a regulation that even carrying gasoline on the street would be forbidden, and you could get a fine if you did even that. So then the police, they went to people, you're carrying a gasoline jerry can, so you'll get a fine. But then they said, it's empty, so what are you talking about? And this was the last stage before the government really destroyed the whole trucker movement. So they went with police and horses, and the horses trampled also the demonstrators. So it was sheer violence. And for me, that was interesting because, well, like in the Second World War, when you enter a country and you say, okay, you have to do what we say, and we bomb the place and we kill a lot of people, then it's obvious that you are dealing with an enemy. So the whole population sees you as an enemy. And now, of course, the bad people, they try to present themselves as non-enemies, but friends. They try to heal you by giving you vaccines and so on. But now the Canadian government had to resort to sheer violence. So they came with their horses, trampling people. And so they revealed themselves as they really were. And for me, when you reach that stage as bad people, you are signing your own death warrant. Then it's only a matter of time before the resistance will become so big that you have lost. So for me, that moment was the moment that they signed their own death warrant. And in the piece, that's the moment when it starts a big fugue. So it starts very small, only a few voices, very slowly, but there is an ongoing accelerando, and all the themes from the rest of the piece, they return, and one of the themes is Ode to Joy, from the Alle Menschen werden Brüder theme by Beethoven, and then there's this large finale, and in the end there is a choir added also. Well, you have to imagine the choir so the recording, of course, is an electronic recording because it has not been performed yet. But imagine then that the choir is singing words about freedom. Well, that's the introductory speech.
Great, Ed. We're going to listen to it now. It's called, will you introduce the piece? It's a symphonic poem?
Yeah, it's a symphonic poem in 12 parts, and it's called Toward Freedom.
Okay. Wow, Ed. Fantastic. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Maybe I should mention that I also made a version with, believe it or not, accordion orchestra for a very good ensemble in Holland, and they are going to perform this version also. So we also with a small choir in June of this year. Yeah, so it's something to look forward to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful piece. Yeah. The final, the end there, the finale is very, very optimistic.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Yeah, yeah. You may not, well, you know the story, yeah? When this whole thing broke out in 2020, I knew from the first second that this was the big try to conquer the world, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I wrote articles, well, which I sent to you, Stephen, as you know.
Yeah.
But then I went into Satanism and what they're doing to children. So it was far too much for almost anyone to comprehend. And then I thought, well, that's not my thing. So then I switched to writing music about this, which I've done ever since to this day. And I want every piece to end in an optimistic way, so, like this one too.
Yeah,